The doctor said retired teacher Harold had maybe 6 months before his memories would be completely gone. But this wise grandfather wasn't going to give up without a fight. He had one final lesson to teach his granddaughter Emma, and it would be the most important class either of them would ever attend. But the true power of this final lesson hadn't even been revealed yet. On that gloomy October morning, the old school building in Riverside Town was silent as usual. But a few blocks away, 79-year-old Harold Peterson sat in his home study, holding a notebook with trembling hands. Harold had been the town's most beloved teacher for 40 years. He had taught hundreds of children to read and write, prepared them for life, and raised individuals that families could be proud of. But now, he felt his own brain betraying him. The news he received from Dr. Williams 3 months ago still rang in his ears. Early-stage Alzheimer's. Harold, I'm sorry. It's a progressive disease, and unfortunately, we don't have a way to stop it. That day when he returned home, he looked at all the books in his study, his lesson notes, photographs of his students. Everything that was the work of his life would slowly be erased from his mind. But Harold wasn't thinking of giving up, because he had one last lesson to teach. And the recipient of this lesson would be his 8-year-old granddaughter Emma. That morning, Harold opened the notebook where he had written "Final Lesson" with trembling hands. This wasn't just any notebook. This was the essence of his 40 years of teaching experience, a treasure where the most important knowledge, values, and life lessons came together. On the first page of the notebook he had written, "Dear Emma, Grandpa may not be able to remember you soon, but never forget these lessons." Below that were headings he had planned very carefully. What courage is and how to find it. The power and importance of love. Why mistakes are beautiful. The magic of imagination. The most valuable treasure, kindness. Under each heading were examples, stories, and activities that Emma could understand. Harold was racing against time, because he knew his memory had to hold out until he completed this lesson plan. When the phone rang, the pen fell from his hand. It was his daughter Sarah calling. "Dad, how are you? Emma missed you so much. She wants to come this weekend." Harold closed his eyes. Was this perfect timing or the last chance? "Of course she can come," he said, his voice trembling. I have so many things I want to teach her." Saturday morning, Emma ran to her grandfather's house with her usual excitement. Before the little girl even entered the door, she was shouting, "Grandpa Harold! Grandpa!" When Harold greeted her, his throat tightened at Emma's innocence and energy. He didn't know how to say goodbye to this little angel. "Emma, sweetheart, how much I missed you." Emma jumped into her grandfather's arms. "I missed you so much too. What are we going to do this weekend?" Harold took Emma's hands and looked into her eyes. "Emma, I want to give you a very special lesson. The most important lesson I've ever given." Emma widened her eyes with curiosity. "A lesson? But it's the weekend." "But this is a different lesson. This is a life lesson, and only you can learn it." Emma thought. Grandpa Harold's lessons were always fun. "Okay, what will I learn?" Harold took her to his study. On the desk were his special notebook, colored pencils, and a few small gifts. "This weekend, I'm going to teach you 5 very important things. When you learn each one, you'll get a small gift. But the biggest gift will be that this knowledge stays in your heart forever." Emma clapped her hands excitedly. "Let's start." Harold opened the notebook and showed the first page. "Our first lesson, courage." "What is courage, Grandpa?" "Courage is doing what's right even when you're afraid." "Now I'm going to tell you a story." Harold took out an old photo album. Inside were photographs of him taken as a child. "When I was your age, I was a very shy child. I was afraid to speak at school. But one day, I saw my friend Billy being bullied." Emma listened carefully. "The bully was much bigger than Billy. But I knew I had to help him. That's when I learned courage." "What did you do?" "Despite my fear, I went up to the bully and said, 'Don't touch Billy.' My voice was shaking, but I knew I was right." Harold looked at Emma. "Courage isn't not being afraid, Emma. Courage is doing what's right even when you're scared." Emma nodded thoughtfully. "I understand, Grandpa. But how do I become brave?" "By taking small brave steps every day. By protecting someone, telling the truth, trying new things." Harold took out a small badge from the desk. It said Courage Hero on it. "This is your first gift." But the real gift is courage living in your heart. Emma proudly pinned on the badge. What's the next lesson? That night, Harold lay in his bed with a confused mind. He had forgotten Emma's name several times, calling her by another name. The disease was progressing and he knew his time was running out. But the sparkle in Emma's eyes had given him hope. These lessons were really working. The little girl wasn't just listening, she was understanding. The next morning, Emma woke up early and ran to her grandfather's room. "Grandpa, I'm ready for the second lesson." Harold smiled. Emma's energy gave him strength. "Great. Today's lesson is very special, because it's about the most powerful thing in the world." The most powerful thing? A lion. More powerful. A tiger. Even more powerful. Emma thought. "I don't know." Harold smiled. "Love, Emma. Love is the most powerful thing in the world." Harold took Emma to the garden. It was a sunny Sunday morning, and the flowers were blooming beautifully. "Emma, look at these flowers. How can they be so beautiful? Because of water and sun?" "Yes, but there's something missing. Love. I made these flowers this way by loving them, watering them with care." Emma touched the flowers. "Does love make them more beautiful?" "Yes. And not just flowers, people too. Love heals, beautifies, and grows everything." Harold took Emma in his lap. "Because you love me, I become happier. Because I love you, you become stronger." "But Grandpa, does love sometimes hurt?" Harold paused. This was a very deep question. "Yes, sometimes it hurts. The fear of losing the people we love is a pain as strong as love. But do you know what? What? Love itself never ends. People may go away, but love stays in our hearts forever." Emma thought. "Then I will have always loved you." Harold's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, sweetheart. And me too. Even if I'm far away, even if I seem to have forgotten, my love will always be with you." He took out the second gift from the desk, a small, heart-shaped necklace. "This is your second gift, to remember the power of love." While preparing lunch, Harold showed Emma an old photograph. In the photo was Harold as a young teacher giving his first lesson. "This is the photo of my first day as a teacher. You're so young. You look happy. But that day I made a very big mistake." Emma was surprised. "What mistake?" "I was so excited that I mixed up the students' names. I called Mary Susan, and Susan Tommy." Emma giggled. "That's funny." "Yes, but I was very embarrassed then. I almost cried. But my students laughed and said, 'Teacher, everyone makes mistakes.'" Harold took Emma's hands. "That day I learned something very important. Mistakes aren't bad. Mistakes help us learn." "Really?" "Of course. A person who never makes mistakes is a person who never tries new things. And a person who never tries new things doesn't grow." Emma thought. "I make a lot of mistakes too. In my math homework, when riding my bike. And every mistake makes you smarter. Thanks to the mistake in math, you learn the right answer. Because you fell off your bike, you learn to ride better." Harold took out the third gift, a small eraser. "This is your third gift. But this isn't an ordinary eraser. This is the Mistake Friend eraser. Not to erase your mistakes, but to remember what you learned from your mistakes." Emma took the eraser and examined it. "Great. Now I won't be afraid of my mistakes." In the afternoon, Harold took Emma to the attic. There was an old trunk there. This trunk has very special things in it. When he opened the trunk, old books, maps, a telescope, and colored pencils came out. "What are these, Grandpa?" "These are the tools of my imagination world. With these books, I traveled to distant countries. With these maps, I became a treasure hunter. With this telescope, I became an astronaut." Emma widened her eyes. "Really? With my imagination, yes." "Emma, imagination is the greatest superpower in the world." Harold gave Emma an old storybook. "Do you want to be the princess in this book?" "But how?" "Close your eyes and imagine. You are now Princess Emma. You live in a magical castle. You're friends with dragons." Emma closed her eyes and smiled. "I can see it. I have a pink dress and a flying horse. That's it. With your imagination, you can be anything, go anywhere." Harold continued with a serious expression. "But the most important part is this. The things you imagine can become real one day. The job you imagine today, you can do tomorrow. The places you imagine today, you can go to tomorrow." He took out the fourth gift, a small, golden key. This is the key to your imagination world. In every difficult situation, you can open the door to your imagination world with this key. As evening came, Harold took Emma to the living room for the last lesson. There was a big box in the middle. This is our last lesson, Emma. The most important lesson. What will I learn? What the most valuable treasure in the world is. Emma looked at the box curiously. What's inside? Let's open it and see. When Emma opened the box, inside there was a mirror. A mirror? How is this a treasure? Harold smiled. Emma, look in the mirror. What do you see? I see myself. That's the most valuable treasure. You yourself. Emma was confused. How so? Harold sat next to Emma. Emma, you are unique. There's no one else like you. Your smile, your warmth, your kindness. These are more valuable than any treasure. But I'm just a little girl. No, you are much more. You are a brave heart, a loving soul, a mind open to learning. You are a treasure all by yourself. Harold's eyes filled with tears. And the most beautiful part is, this treasure can never be stolen, never be lost. Because it's inside you. He took out the last gift, a beautiful diary. This is for you to write your own story. Because your story will be the most beautiful story in the world. That night, as Harold went to bed, he felt his mind becoming cloudy. Some words weren't coming to him. He had forgotten Emma's name once, calling her my girl. When Emma woke up and came downstairs in the morning, Harold was standing confused in the kitchen. Grandpa, what are you looking for? I was trying to make coffee, but... Emma saw the sugar container in her grandfather's hand. Harold was trying to put sugar in the coffee machine. Grandpa, that's sugar. Coffee is here, Emma said, showing the coffee in the cupboard. Harold stopped and looked at Emma. For a moment, he seemed like he didn't recognize her. Who are you? Emma's heart sank. I'm Emma, your granddaughter. Harold's face brightened. Oh yes, Emma. Of course, how could I forget? But Emma understood. Her grandfather's illness was beginning. Throughout that day, Harold was confused several more times. Sometimes he called Emma Sarah, sometimes he forgot where he was. But strangely, he never forgot what he had taught the day before. Emma, what did we learn yesterday? Emma excitedly listed. Courage, love, mistakes, imagination, and me. I'm the most valuable treasure. Harold smiled. Well done. Do you know why it's important for you to learn these? I don't know. Harold took Emma's hands. Because I might sometimes forget you. But you must never forget yourself. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Grandpa, are you sick? Yes, sweetheart. My mind sometimes gets confused. But my heart will always remember you. And with what I taught you, you will always be strong. Emma held her courage badge. Courage is doing what's right even when I'm afraid. Yes. She held her heart necklace. Love never ends. Correct. She showed her eraser. Mistakes make me stronger. Perfect. She waved her key. With my imagination, everything is possible. Absolutely. She lifted her diary. And I am valuable. Harold hugged her tightly. That's it. Now you're ready for everything. When it was time for Emma to go home Sunday evening, both were sad. Grandpa, we'll see each other again, right? Harold hesitated. Should he tell the truth? Emma, I have always loved you. And I always will. But sometimes I might be a little different. How different? I might forget your name. Or I might ask who you are. But that doesn't mean I don't love you. My mind just gets confused. Emma thought, what if I remind you of our lessons? That's a wonderful idea. If you remind me, I'll remember too. Emma smiled. Then it's not a problem. I'll give you courage. Harold's heart filled as he saw how strong Emma was. Weeks passed. Emma continued to come every weekend. Harold's condition was gradually getting worse, but Emma repeated their lessons with each visit. Grandpa, I'm Emma, your granddaughter, and I haven't forgotten what you taught me. Sometimes Harold recognized her, sometimes he didn't. But Emma never gave up. Look at my courage badge. Yesterday, I stood up to bullying at school. Harold's eyes would sparkle. Really? What did you do? A kid was bullying a smaller girl. I remembered my courage lesson and went and stopped it. I'm proud of you. Another day. I'm wearing my love necklace because I love you so much. And love never ends, right? Harold remembered a little more each time. One Saturday, Harold was very confused. He didn't recognize Emma at all. Who are you? What are you doing in this house? Emma was sad, but held her courage badge. I'm Emma, and I'm going to teach you something very important. What will you teach me? Emma smiled. The power of love. And that day Emma began teaching her grandfather the lessons she had learned herself. Harold listened with curiosity. Do you know what courage is? It's doing what's right even when you're afraid. Harold thought, this is a beautiful lesson. Love is the most powerful thing in the world, and mistakes make us stronger. A familiar sparkle appeared in Harold's eyes. You are a very smart girl. I'm Emma, your granddaughter, and you taught me these things. From that day on, the role changed. Now Emma was the teacher, Harold was the student. And strangely, this new situation made both of them happy. Teacher Emma, Harold would say, what will I learn today? Today we'll learn the magic of imagination. Emma would teach her grandfather to imagine. Together they would write stories, live adventures. You are a very good teacher, Harold would say. I learned from you. When Sarah saw this change, she was amazed. Her father was much happier with Emma. He had the disease, but Emma's presence calmed him. Emma, you're doing something very special for your father, Sarah would say. I'm just giving back what he taught me. Months passed. Harold's condition progressed, but Emma never gave up. With each visit, she repeated the same lessons, showing her grandfather her love. One day, Harold asked Emma in a very clear moment, Emma, will I forget who you are? Emma thought, maybe you'll forget my name. Maybe you'll forget my face. But I'll never forget what you taught me. And I'll always remind you of these things. You are a very brave girl. I learned from you. Harold smiled. Then my mission is complete. I gave the most valuable lesson to my best student. Emma hugged him. And I will keep what you taught me alive forever. Emma's change didn't just affect her grandfather. At school, she had become braver, kinder, more understanding. Her teacher, Miss Johnson, noticed. Emma, you've changed so much this year. You've matured a lot. Emma smiled. My grandfather taught me very important things. What did he teach you? Courage, love, learning from mistakes, imagination. And most importantly, I am valuable. Miss Johnson was impressed. Your grandfather must have been a wonderful teacher. Yes, and now I'm teaching others too. Indeed, Emma had started telling her friends at school about Harold's lessons. She stood up to bullying, comforted sad friends, got along well with everyone. Years later, Emma was now 15 years old. Harold's condition had progressed a lot, but Emma still came every weekend. That day, Harold was very calm. He looked at Emma for a long time. You are a very beautiful girl, he said. Thank you. I'm Emma, your granddaughter. Emma. Harold repeated the name. That's a beautiful name. You taught me 5 important lessons. Do you remember? Harold shook his head. Emma began to count. Courage, love, mistakes, imagination, and self-worth. Harold thought, these are beautiful things. Yes, and you taught them to me because you loved me. I love you, Harold said, simply but sincerely. Emma smiled with tears in her eyes. I love you too, Grandpa. And what you taught me will live forever with me. Today, Emma is 25 years old, and she's a teacher herself. She passes on what Grandpa Harold taught her to every child in her class. What is courage? She asks her students. Doing what's right even when we're afraid, they answer. What is love? The most powerful thing in the world. Harold is no longer with us, but his final lesson is still alive. Through Emma's teachings, it reaches hundreds of children. This story teaches us this. The strongest lessons are taught with the heart and learned with the heart. Disease can take memory, but it cannot take love. And true teachers live forever through what they teach. Harold's final lesson reached not only Emma, but every life she touched. Because the best lessons are those passed from generation to generation. And sometimes, the most valuable inheritance is not money, but the lessons learned.